Hey guys, Chaps here, and let's talk about the aiming mechanics in Gears 5, more specifically the bullet magnetism, as many people have been calling it. I wasn't going to make a video about this, as the Coalition said they plan to release an official video and blog post on it. That said, their post has been delayed until next week, and I've seen a lot of angry people, so I figured I'd try to explain it myself in the meantime. Please note that I have not talked to them to get any official info, so this could be wrong. But based on what I've heard and based on what I've seen, this seems to explain what we're seeing. Let me start by playing the two videos that have been getting all of the attention recently. I've got the source linked below if you want to check them out. In this one, you see somebody hitting a wall when they shoot, and then if the opponent steps over here, hey, now the bullets seem to go around the wall and hit the opponent. Here, you can basically see someone shooting to the right of an opponent and having the bullets hit them. So today, I'm going to try to explain why both of those things are happening. With those videos out of the way, let's get into some of the basics of the shooting mechanics. Gears is a third-person shooter. Because of this, we have the camera situated a few feet to the right and behind our player, so that you can see your player, or your character. Our gun then extends out from our body. Let's switch to an overhead view. Here we have our character, and now we'll add the camera location. Now let's pop in our weapon. Yeah, these are cheap little diagrams that definitely aren't to scale, but they do a decent job of explaining stuff. You'll get the general idea. Let's throw a wall in the background here. Basically, this is the setup that we have shown here on Asylum. Okay, so now we're going to add where we're pointing. This dot represents where we're aiming. Basically, in-game, this is where the crosshair would be pointing. Because the crosshair is center screen for you, we know the line of sight for it. So let's draw it here. It goes straight from this dot back to our camera. Basically, this line represents your direct viewing angle from the camera to the target. This is how shooting in Gears 1 and UE worked, but not most of the other games. Most Gears games utilize barrel shot. The shots come from the gun, so let's draw that line in here. As you can see, the line of sight for the gun goes straight from the barrel to the target location. As you change where you're aiming, you change these angles. Most importantly, the further away you're aiming, the narrower this angle becomes. We'll get to that in a minute. I'll also add in here that hard aiming in Gears does not give iron sights like some games. Or the hammer burst in Gears 3 did, I guess, but besides that. Using L-trig will bring these lines closer together because it moves the camera slightly to the left and brings your gun slightly to the right, but it does not cause them to overlap. It's not a true aim down sight. Now that we understand this, let's add a target in here. If you're aiming at a target, the two lines will meet up at the target. But now let's aim at that back wall again slightly to the right of the player. Set up a situation similar to that from the video. As you can see, here's the line of sight for the reticle, i.e. from your camera, and what you see is that you're aiming at a wall, to the right of the enemy player. Your barrel trajectory, on the other hand, is going straight through them. This happens when you aim at a wall that is way in the distance and you have an enemy closer to you. This also explains why it only happens when aiming to the right. If you aim to the left of them, you're gonna miss. Further showcasing this, let's do a lefty swap. Now the camera location has changed to the left side, so we should see the exact same thing we saw before, except now aiming slightly to the right we're going to be missing the target, and aiming slightly to the left we're now going to be hitting them. That basically explains the logic behind the Asylum video, and I'm fairly confident in that explanation, but I'm curious to see what TC says about it, so let's go over to the Foundation video. This one I'm a bit less confident in my explanation for, but I'll give it a shot. At first I was thinking that it was a different issue. I thought that we might be seeing a combination of barrel shot at range and then up close it changes to center screen. Like if the player was too close, maybe the game swapped and now you're doing center screen shooting like you had in Gears 1. I still think there might be some instances in the game where it switches like that, but I'm not sure if that's the case here. Upon further evaluation, and thanks CJ for mentioning this on Twitter by the way, it looks like it's actually the same mechanic as what I discussed earlier in the video. Now let's set this up in the overhead view. We've got the two players, and we have the line of sight thing. Now if we throw that blockage and the back wall in here, it may become a bit more obvious. As you can see, when aiming at the player, both the camera and the gun are able to see the player. When the enemy player steps out of the way though, the targeted area now extends back to the wall in the background. The camera can obviously still see there just fine, but the angle for the gun has now become much smaller. This means that the gun is now trying to shoot through the wall. Again, I'm sorry for these rough animations and graphics, and I know things aren't to scale here, but that doesn't really matter, it's just the concepts at play. I'm also going to add here that I certainly know of people showing bullet magnetism and aim assist. I'm not going to argue those definitely exist, and I do think something should be done about some of that. We've seen people shooting through walls in many of the games as well. Nothing is perfect, but hopefully this video helps explain what we've been seeing recently. I don't think it's bullet magnetism, I think it's just simple third-person shooter barrel shot aim mechanics. So I'm curious to see what the Coalition does to explain it, and I'm curious to see how accurate I am. If you have any questions on this, feel free to hit me up. If you found this helpful, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching everyone, and I will catch you next time.